Do you own any crypto? Do you invest in crypto? Do you own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Bonk, or any other cryptocurrency? If so, you have to watch this video to understand how you can protect it so it won't be lost if you become incapacitated, and it won't be lost into the ether, pardon my pun, when you pass away. And that's to make sure that it stays in your family. Because many people don't realize that when you own crypto, you have to have an estate plan in place that incorporates this. In this educational video, I'm going to go over some of the issues you need to be aware of, the threats that are out there, and some actionable steps you can take to be sure that you and your family are protected and that your crypto investments stay in your family and that they are not lost if something happens to you. Now, for context, there are many stories out there about tragedies where people who own millions or even hundreds of millions in crypto passed away and it was lost forever. The CEO of Quadriga, it was a Canadian company, he passed away and access to hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto was lost forever because he didn't leave any instructions for his successors. He left no evidence of how anybody else could get access to the crypto that he controlled. There are many other stories of crypto being lost. There's the guy in the UK who accidentally threw away a hard drive that was worth hundreds of millions of dollars based on all the Bitcoin that it held, or he's involved in a court battle trying to get access to the dump to fix that. But for context, I'm an estate planning attorney. I've worked with thousands of families, and I've worked with many clients increasingly who have crypto investments, some in the tens of thousands, but some in the tens of millions of dollars. I have many friends in the crypto world, and I've been involved in educating and a part-time investor in that space for a while. So it's an area that's near and dear to my heart. But I think there's a lot of misinformation or just ignorance about this. So you just have to understand, if you become incapacitated and you don't leave the right, if you don't have the right legal structure into place and the right documentation, your crypto could be lost forever. And when you pass away, your kids, your loved ones might not get any benefit from it. So let's talk about some of the issues with crypto. So crypto is an asset that is typically not held at banks, right? It might be held with a third-party custodian, but you might hold it in an offline wallet or in other non-traditional ways. I mean, many of the early Bitcoin adopters were interested in it precisely because they could avoid the banking system. So that's great in many ways, but it's really bad from the standpoint of estate planning in the sense that there is no central repository that necessarily keeps track of where assets are. There's no third party watching over your assets, depending on where you hold your Bitcoin or your other crypto. So let's talk about some key steps that you really need to take. If you pass away, and if your crypto is held in cold storage and your family doesn't know where that is or doesn't know how to access it, it's lost forever, almost certainly. But there are a lot of steps we can take no matter where your crypto is held to be sure that it is protected. So 1, catalog it, inventory it. You need a list, so if someone has to step into your shoes, if you become incapacitated or when you pass away, someone knows where your crypto holdings are. This should include where it's held, whether it's cold storage or if it's at an exchange. You need that list of your accounts and your holdings. Now, obviously, it's a security risk, so it has to be kept in a very safe place. It could be a safe deposit box, a fireproof safe, somewhere secure. You can divide information in multiple locations. That is up to you to make sure it's secure, but somewhere you need a comprehensive list of all of your crypto holdings. This should include all your crypto wallets, any exchange where you hold assets, and you probably need the details for those, the wallet addresses, the names of the exchanges, potentially login information for those exchanges, seed phrases. Again, this is super, super dangerous to have this anywhere anyone else could find it. So it has to be in a secure place, but that's true for a lot of documents. So keep it in a very safe place or keep it divided up in multiple places where only your loved ones can get access. You also might consider an encrypted USB drive as a place to store these, and only your loved ones or people you trust have access to that. Because if you don't keep track of where they are, and if no one knows where they are, it doesn't matter what estate plan you have in place, they're gone. There's no third party who let your family know. This isn't like a bank account where eventually your family would probably find out, even if you didn't have it in an estate plan. So what can you do to make sure your crypto can be managed if you become incapacitated and can't manage it for yourself, but while you're still living? So in addition to some list or inventory of where your assets are, you need to give someone you trust the ability to manage those assets for you. What if you're running out of money and some of those cryptocurrencies have to be sold to support your medical bills or your living expenses? In addition to giving someone information about accounts, you need to have a durable power of attorney for finance. That's a general legal document that all of us over the age of 18 should have, but it should be a special power of attorney. So this generally allows you to name somebody who can step in and manage your day-to-day business of life issues, to manage your taxes, your retirement accounts, your utility bills. And if you have cryptocurrency, it's crucial that your power of attorney has extra tools. Your power of attorney should specifically address cryptocurrencies and the ability for someone to hold these cryptocurrencies in a way that might be more aggressive than they would other investments. So typically if someone steps into your shoes, they have to be a prudent investor. They have to be somewhat conservative. If you have cryptocurrencies, your power of attorney document should have specific language addressing digital assets and any state statutes that address this. Many states like California have new laws giving authorized individuals the ability to contact tech companies like crypto exchanges to get access via the courts if they absolutely need to. So that language has to be there, and you should have language that allows them to hold cryptocurrency. Because again, under the Prudent Investor Act, if someone else steps into your shoes to manage your investments, typically they have to be very conservative. Now, crypto is many things, but a conservative investment it is not. So if you don't have language saying, hey, it's okay for you to hold these aggressive crypto holdings, they might actually have to sell cryptocurrencies, potentially, and go into more conservative investments, which could trigger all sorts of tax issues and other challenges. So it's important that your power of attorney addresses this, and of course, that you name only individuals that you really, really trust in that document. So that can help someone to manage your crypto while you're living. So again, they need to know where it is. Ideally, they should have in some secure place the ability to access it with or without a power of attorney. They only can get access to if something happens to you or in an emergency. And this power of attorney should authorize them to step in and manage these accounts as best they can for you if you can't manage for yourself. But what about when you pass away? How can you make sure that your cryptocurrency stays in your family, that it goes where you want it to go, ideally without being stuck in the courts for years? So big picture for estate planning, if you don't have a living trust, and if you just have a simple will, or if you don't have a will, even if people can find your assets are stuck in something called probate. That's a court process where a court oversees the distribution of your estate according to the terms of your will once it validates it, or if you don't have a will, according to your state's laws of succession. It's a painful process. It's extraordinarily expensive. It can be up to 5 or 6% the value of your estate lost in court and legal fees. It can take up to 2 or 3 years, and it is totally public. You might not want the whole world knowing that your family is inheriting a bunch of crypto. So how can we avoid this? Well, you need a living trust. A living trust properly funded, and that's a big issue with crypto, I'm going to get to that in a second, ensures that your assets pass to the people that you love without probate. It stays private. There is still an administrative process that can take up to 1.5 years, but it's much shorter, and the cost is typically a fraction of that of probate. It's usually around 1 to 1.5% of the value of the estate, as opposed to 3 to 5% of the estate. And there's a lot of tools we can put into place, like dynasty trusts or protective trusts for your kids, and all sorts of other tools in a living trust. But how do you title crypto in a living trust? That is a big challenge, but let me talk about a couple approaches you can take. If you have your assets in an exchange like Coinbase or Gemini or Binance or wherever it is, you should check with that exchange to see if they will allow you to change the title of your crypto account into the name of your trust. So typically, if you have a bank account and you set up a living trust, you provide the bank with some documentation proving you have a trust, and they simply change the name into your trust. So my account would be changed from Mark Gilfix to Mark Gilfix as the trustee of the Mark Gilfix Trust, or something along those lines. The bank would need that paperwork, and it usually is fairly straightforward. Now with crypto, it's not usually so easy, but depending on where your assets are, they might allow you to do this. So if you have assets at Fidelity, I believe they're pretty good about this. Coinbase, I think the time of this video, I think you have to have a Coinbase Prime account, which I know is a challenge. They don't always let you do this. Some exchanges are not very cooperative. Hopefully by the time you watch this video, they are. But if you have the bulk of your crypto with an exchange, check with that exchange, tell them, hey, look, I want to change the name of my account into the name of my living trust. Once you have a living trust, I have other videos on how to set those up, and retitle into the trust. And that way, when you pass away, not only can your successor trustee get pretty clean access to those accounts, even if they don't have login information, because they can contact the exchange directly and say, hey, I have authority for this now. It also ensures your assets will pass without probate. It stays private in the family and goes where you want it to go without massive court fees and delays. So even if you title the accounts in your living trust, or if you have issues titling them in, you should list them on your trust schedules. So trust schedules, a living trust, you list all the accounts and the assets that you intend to have in the living trust. So if you have an account at Binance or Gemini, whatever, you would list that account on your trust schedule. It's an attachment to your trust saying, hey, whether I've done it at the exchange itself, whether it's in my name or in my trust name, I am intending to put it in my living trust. I'm listing it here. If you have an account number, don't list the full account, list just the last 3 digits there, but make sure it's listed on your trust schedule of assets. So that's one way to do it. But let's say your exchange doesn't make it easy to put your accounts in the name of your trust, or let's say you have in other in cold storage or in a Trezor wallet or some way where it's not held at an exchange. Well, this is where legal documentation is really important. So there's a couple of documents that you have to have in place, and you need to work with an estate planning attorney to do the best you can to have the right language and the right documents. There's two documents that can help here. One is a pour-over will. Anytime you set up a living trust, you actually also set up a pour-over will. In plain English, that's just something that says, hey, if I forgot to put something in my living trust or if I didn't do it, my will directs it. But what does my will do? It pours it over into my living trust. So you should have a pour-over will as part of your trust package. Another crucial document is an assignment of assets. So this is kind of a blanket document that says, hey, I am assigning any account that I couldn't put in my trust. For whatever reason, I'm putting my personal property and my crypto, I'm assigning that to my living trust. And that can often also be a way to put crypto into your trust without officially titling it that way. And this is an evolving area of law, so it's important to work with an attorney to make sure you do this as best you can. Nothing's promised yet. As laws evolve, this will change, but you have to at least take the bare minimum steps. So I'll also say this: when you create a crypto-oriented estate plan, this has implications for the trustee that you choose. The trustee is the person or the people that you choose, or entity, to step into your shoes if you become incapacitated. There's also the person or entity named in your power of attorney, and they are the person or entity authorized to oversee the administration of your estate after you pass away. If you have crypto, you should probably name somebody who is tech savvy or at least familiar with cryptocurrencies in that world of investing. So that might eliminate some potential choices there. It's always a challenging choice, but you should think about who you might want to name, and you should talk to them ahead of time. Hopefully it's a close family member or a very close trusted friend, but they should be tech savvy. They should be somewhat crypto savvy that can make this a bit easier. So the bottom line is, if you own crypto, work with an experienced estate planning attorney who understands crypto to make sure that your plan incorporates this. The big 3 steps you need to take: 1, some form of inventory, a list of where you hold your crypto, maybe as part of that access information, private keys, passwords, login information. Keep it incredibly safe. That should be in safe deposit boxes or only in a place where you would keep your most valuable possessions, because those are. And then if they fall into the wrong hands, you could lose everything, of course. So keep that very safe. But 2, you should have an up-to-date power of attorney for finances that addresses crypto issues, names someone you trust implicitly to step into your shoes with some legal authority to manage your crypto for you if you are incapacitated. And 3, you need a living trust, or revocable living trust at the bare minimum, to ensure that your crypto is held in the trust. And titling it in, as we talked about, is a little challenging. Either you retitle your exchange accounts in the name of the trust if they let you, or at the very least, you assign them to the living trust via other documentation, a pour-over will, and assignment of assets. You should list those accounts on your trust Schedule A. And new estate planning tools are emerging. There are, of course, different irrevocable trusts, entities you can create to hold crypto. I'm just talking about the very basics that we all at least need to have. There are other tools out there that exist, that are emerging. This video is not about those. This is about the basics. So let's make sure our crypto is protected, and above all, make sure that anybody you name in these documents, 1, you trust implicitly, 2, they are responsible, and 3, ideally, they are tech and crypto savvy. So if we take all these steps, we can ensure that hopefully our crypto won't be lost. Nothing is a guarantee. This is a new area of law, a new area of planning. Work with an attorney on this. Don't try this at home, and work with an attorney who has some experience working with crypto. Our firm, Gilfix La Poll, is increasingly working with crypto-oriented clients, and I have many friends in that world. It is a blessing to get to help people in this community. It's an amazing new asset class, but we have to be a step ahead. Don't just assume I own crypto, I'm off the grid, it'll be fine. Precisely because of what makes crypto so interesting, it also is very high risk if something happens to you. So take these steps. Again, this is for educational purposes only. Work with an attorney to take these actual steps. Your situation may be different from what I addressed, but take steps to protect your crypto so it's not all lost. If you like this video, share it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of other educational videos around estate planning, legal and financial issues, financial planning, and all these related areas. Let's stay safe, sane, and healthy. Let's keep our crypto safe.